Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to decipher the confusing language of corporate filings, and sometimes we find out they were just selling more of their own stuff. Let's dive into EQT Private Equity Company LLC's latest report. This filing tells us about something pretty interesting. They've been selling shares of their own company to investors. Think of it like a company selling its own pieces of ownership to raise money. It is a way for them to collect cash to fund their operations or future plans. So EQT Private Equity Company LLC is the company we're looking at. It's a private equity firm, meaning they invest in other companies, often with the goal of improving them, and then selling them for a profit. The news here is that they've been busy raising money from outside investors. The main point of this filing is about the sale of equity, which is basically ownership stakes in their company. They are telling us about shares they sold that did not go through the usual public registration process with the government. This is typically allowed for private sales to a select group of investors. As of early September of 2025, they sold a significant amount of these shares. We are talking about over $73 million worth of their own company, S shares. This is not a small amount, and it shows to raise a good amount of investor interest in what EQT Private Equity is doing. Now, let S break down where that money came from. They sold different classes of shares, like Class A, I shares, Class A, J1 shares, Class A, J2 shares, and Class A, S shares. Each of these represents a different type of investment or ownership structure within the company. They sold a total of over 2.8 million shares across these different classes. It's like they were selling little slices of their business, and many investors were eager to buy. The total money they collected from these sales was about $73.8 million. This cash infusion is important for any company, especially one that invests in other businesses. It gives them more fuel to operate and make more investments. It's interesting to note that they finalized the exact number of shares sold and the total amount on a specific date in September, after calculating the company's value. This tells us the process of selling these shares is carefully managed and tied to the company's actual worth at that exact moment. They mentioned that these sales were exempt from the normal public registration rules. This is common for private placements, meaning they sold these shares directly to a smaller group of investors, likely those who meet certain financial qualifications, often referred to as accredited investors or even international investors. And it's not just this one batch of sales. They also mentioned that since they started, which was in July 2025, they have raised a much larger sum altogether, around $262 million. This shows a consistent strategy of raising capital from investors to fuel their private equity operations. So, what does this all mean? EQT Private Equity is actively raising money. They are selling ownership in their own firm to fund their investments. This level of fundraising suggests confidence from their investors and a clear strategy to grow the business. Think of it like a chef having a well-stocked pantry to create more dishes. Looking at the numbers, raising over $73 million in a single transaction and over $262 million since they started points to a company that is successful in attracting capital. This capital is the lifeblood of a private equity firm. It's what they use to buy companies, improve them, and ultimately make money for themselves and their investors. However, we should also consider the implications. When a company raises this much money through private sales, it means that public scrutiny is less intense than if they were a publicly traded company. This allows for more flexibility, but also means investors need to do their due diligence. The fact that they are selling shares in their own company also means they are likely looking to expand their investment capacity significantly. In my opinion, EQT Private Equity seems to be executing a solid capital raising strategy. The consistent inflow of funds from diverse investor classes indicates a strong appeal in the market. Their ability to leverage these funds effectively will be the key to their future success, and we'll be watching to see how these investments translate into returns for their shareholders and what kind of companies they choose to support. The biggest strength here is clearly their fundraising capability, which is crucial in the private equity world. A potential weakness or risk, however, lies in the execution of those investments turning that capital into profitable outcomes. Alright, that is our breakdown of EQT Private Equity Company LLC's latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.